First Contact's fury. The message came through garbled and desperate, crackling across subspace channels that weren't supposed to pick up alien transmissions at all. Lieutenant Marcus Wong froze at his communications station aboard Research Outpost Helios, his coffee cup halfway to his lips as the alien voice filtered through his headset. Requesting immediate assistance. Voidborn fleet approaching. Peaceful species. No defense capabilities. Please help. The transmission cut off in a burst of static. Marcus swallowed hard and pressed the emergency alert button. Within minutes, Captain Alina Reyes strode onto the command deck, her dark hair pulled back in a tight bun, eyes alert despite having been woken from a dead sleep. "Play it again," she ordered. The message repeated, no clearer than before. Static obscured much of it, but the desperation came through unmistakably. "Can we triangulate the source?" Alina asked. Marcus nodded. "Already did. It's coming from the Arcturus system, specifically the fourth planet. We've been monitoring it for potential colonization, but our probes never detected sentient life." "They must be good at hiding," muttered Commander Jackson, the outpost's security chief, who had joined them on the command deck, or new to the neighborhood. Alina studied the star chart, her mind racing. Helios was the only human outpost within 3 light-years of Arcturus. The nearest military vessel was a week away at best. "We have the Horizon," she said, referring to the outpost's exploratory vessel. It wasn't built for combat, but it was fast and well shielded for research in volatile stellar environments. "Captain, with all due respect," Jackson began, "First Contact protocols clearly state—" "This isn't First Contact," Alina cut him off. "This is a distress call. And I'm not leaving anyone to die if I can help it." She turned to Marcus. "Prep the Horizon for immediate departure. I want a volunteer crew ready in 30 minutes. 90 minutes later, the Horizon broke through the quantum fold, emerging at the edge of the Arcturus system. Alina stood on the bridge, now dressed in her full captain's uniform, as the ship's sensors rapidly catalogued the unfolding scene. "Multiple vessels detected," reported Ensign Kira Chen from the sensor station. "2 distinct design architectures. A group of smaller ships are being pursued by 7 larger vessels. Energy weapons fire detected." Alina leaned forward. On screen, the view screen flickered to life, showing elegant crystalline ships with glowing blue cores fleeing from larger angular vessels that reminded Alina of predatory insects, all sharp edges and menace. As they watched, one of the crystalline ships erupted in a shower of light as a beam from a pursuer cut through its hull. "Open a channel to all vessels," Alina ordered. "Channel open," Marcus confirmed. "Attention unknown vessels. This is Captain Alina Reyes of the Earth Exploratory Vessel Horizon. We are responding to a distress call. Cease hostilities immediately and identify yourselves." For a moment, there was no response. Then a harsh, reverberating voice filled the bridge. "Human vessel, this conflict does not concern you. Depart immediately or face consequences." Before Alina could respond, another voice broke through, softer and melodic. "Please help us. We are the Iridians. The Voidborn seek our extinction. We have no weapons to defend ourselves." Alina's jaw tightened. The situation was deteriorating fast, but she had made her decision the moment she'd heard that distress call. "Voidborn vessels, stand down. We will not allow the destruction of an unarmed species." A harsh laugh echoed through the comm system. "Your primitive vessel poses no threat, human. This is your final warning. Ready defensive systems," Alina ordered her crew. "Position us between the Iridian ships and their pursuers." "Captain," Jackson protested, "the Horizon isn't a warship." "No," Alina agreed, "but those Iridian ships are full of civilians, and I won't stand by while they're slaughtered." The Horizon surged forward, its ion engines blazing as it took position between the fleeing crystalline ships and their attackers. The maneuver seemed to surprise the Voidborn, who hesitated momentarily. "Shield status?" Alina asked. "Holding at 94%, reported Lieutenant Rosa Diaz from the engineering station. "But Captain, if they focus their fire—" "Incoming," Kira shouted. The horizon shuddered as energy beams struck its shields, the bridge lights flickering briefly. "Shields at 67%, Rosa updated. They're more powerful than we anticipated." Elena gripped the arms of her command chair. "Return fire. Target their weapon systems only." The Horizon's defensive pulse cannons, designed primarily for clearing space debris, fired in coordinated bursts at the lead Voidborn vessel. To everyone's surprise, the shots penetrated the alien ship's shields, causing visible damage to its forward section. "Direct hit," Kira exclaimed. "Their shield technology appears incompatible with our pulse frequencies." Elena didn't question their luck. "Continue targeting weapon systems. Open a channel to the Iridians." On the view screen, the face of an Iridian appeared, humanoid but with translucent skin through which Elena could see the pulsing of alien organs, large compound eyes that reminded her of a dragonfly's, and no visible mouth. "We are eternally grateful, Captain Reyes," the Iridian communicated, seemingly through some form of telepathy that the ship's translators could interpret. "We are peaceful researchers. The Voidborn attacked without provocation when they discovered us studying this system. Get your people to safety," Elena instructed. "We'll hold them off." The battle intensified as the Voidborn realized their prey was escaping. 3 vessels broke off to pursue the Iridians, while 4 remained to deal with the Horizon. "They're surrounding us," Jackson warned. Elena's mind raced. The Horizon couldn't outgun 4 warships, but perhaps they could outsmart them. "Rosa, divert all non-essential power to shields." "Kira, calculate a trajectory that will take us through the system's asteroid belt." "The asteroid belt?" Jackson questioned. "That's suicide at these speeds." "Not for us," Elena replied. "Earth's gravity is 3 times that of the Voidborn homeworld, according to their emissions signature. Our reaction times should be significantly faster." Understanding dawned on Jackson's face. "They're not used to our gravity-forged reflexes." The Horizon shot toward the dense field of tumbling rocks, the Voidborn ships in close pursuit. As they entered the asteroid belt, Elena took manual control, her hands dancing across the navigation panel with practiced precision. The Horizon twisted and turned, narrowly avoiding collisions that would have destroyed a lesser vessel. Behind them, the first Voidborn ship wasn't so fortunate. Its attempt to follow the Horizon's path ended when it failed to navigate around a particularly large asteroid, the collision causing catastrophic damage to its propulsion system. "One down," Elena murmured. The remaining 3 Voidborn ships slowed, attempting to pick their way more carefully through the field. It was the opening Elena needed. 180-degree turn, she ordered. "Bring us around behind them." The Horizon spun on its axis, inertial dampeners straining as it completed the maneuver that would have killed an unprotected crew with G-forces alone. Now behind the Voidborn ships, they had the perfect angle to target the most vulnerable sections of their pursuers. "Fire on their engines," Elena commanded. The pulse cannons blazed again, striking with surgical precision. 1 Voidborn ship lost propulsion immediately, beginning to drift helplessly. Another suffered a cascading system failure that caused its weapons to power down. The final ship, seemingly recognizing the futility of the situation, began to retreat. "They're hailing us," Marcus announced, surprise evident in his voice. "On screen," Elena ordered. The face that appeared was insectoid, with multiple segmented eyes and mandibles that clicked as it spoke. "This engagement is concluded, human. But know that you have interfered in matters beyond your understanding. The Galactic Concord will hear of this primitive Deathworlders involving themselves in affairs of civilized species." "Deathworlders?" Elena questioned. "Creatures such as yourselves, evolved on planets that should never have produced sentient life. Dangerous, unpredictable." The mandibles clicked again. "This is not the end, Captain Reyes. The Voidborn do not forget. The transmission cut off as the remaining Voidborn vessels retreated, gathering their damaged comrades before disappearing into faster-than-light travel. Elena allowed herself a moment of relief before turning to her crew. Status report. Shields at 42%. Rosa reported. Minor damage to decks 3 and 4, but no casualties. The Iridian vessels have reached a safe distance, Kira added. They're requesting permission to approach. Elena nodded. Granted, and send a priority message to Earth Command. Tell them we've made first contact with 2 alien species, and I have a feeling we're going to need more than an exploratory vessel out here very soon. As the Horizon moved to rendezvous with the grateful Iridians, Elena couldn't shake the Voidborn commander's final words. Deathworlders. The term sent a chill down her spine, though she wasn't entirely sure why. One thing was certain. Humanity had just been thrust onto a galactic stage they hadn't known existed, and their debut performance had made quite an impression. What none of them realized yet was that back on Earth, deep beneath the Pacific Ocean, sensors had already detected the quantum disturbances from the battle. In a facility unknown to all but a few high-ranking officials, systems long dormant began to stir. Project Nemesis, humanity's insurance policy against hostile alien contact, was beginning to awaken. The nature of the beast. The United Earth Defense Council chamber hummed with tension. Through the vast windows overlooking Geneva, the afternoon sun cast long shadows across the polished floor as Admiral Victoria Hayes paced before the assembled leaders. On the central holographic display, footage from the Horizon's encounter with the Voidborn played on loop. Deathworlders, repeated Defense Secretary Omar Nasir, letting the alien term hang in the air. That's what they called us. Admiral Hayes nodded, her silver-streaked hair catching the light. Captain Rice's report indicates it was meant as a slur, a classification for species that evolved on planets considered too harsh by galactic standards. Dr. Eliza Cho, the Council's xenobiology expert, stepped forward. Her analysis had been expedited the moment the Horizon's transmission reached Earth 3 days ago. Based on the physiological data we've gathered from both species, the term makes a certain kind of sense, she explained, bringing up comparative charts. The Iridians evolved on a world with minimal gravity, no predators, and consistent climate. The Voidborn come from a similarly hospitable environment, though with slightly higher gravity and some environmental pressures. She gestured, and the display shifted to show Earth's specifications. By comparison, our planet would be nightmarish to them. Our gravity alone would crush an Iridian. Our atmospheric pressure would feel like being deep underwater to a Voidborn. Add in our extreme temperature variations, high radiation levels, numerous predators, diseases, natural disasters. We're monsters to them, Captain Elena Reyes concluded. Having returned to Earth at maximum speed to deliver her report in person, she stood at parade rest beside the display. Because we evolved in conditions that would kill them. Secretary General Wei of the United Nations leaned forward, fingers steepled. And yet the Voidborn attacked the Iridians, not us. Why? Resource competition, according to our Iridian contacts, Elena answered. The Voidborn consider the Arcturus system their territory, despite having no settlements there. When they discovered the Iridians conducting research, they responded with overwhelming force. And now? Asked General Rodriguez of the Marine Corps. Now they consider us a threat, Admiral Hayes said. The Horizon's intervention demonstrated combat capabilities that surprised them. From intercepted communications, we believe they're already petitioning something called the Galactic Concord to sanction Earth. The chamber fell silent as the implications sank in. Humanity had barely established footholds on Mars and Venus, with research outposts like Helios representing their farthest reach into space. The idea of facing an interstellar coalition was sobering. What do we know about this Concord? Secretary General Wei finally asked. The Iridians have been forthcoming, Elena replied. It's a coalition of approximately 30 advanced species that govern trade and diplomacy across this sector of the galaxy. The Voidborn hold significant influence within it, despite being relative newcomers. And the Iridians? Non-members. Like many less aggressive species, they exist on the periphery. The Concord offers them little protection. Dr. Cho cleared her throat. There's something else you should know. According to Iridian records, Earth has been classified as a quarantine world for centuries. Most spacefaring species avoid our system entirely. Because we're Deathworlders, Admiral Hayes stated. Yes, and because species from high-stress evolutionary environments tend to be. Dr. Cho paused, searching for the right word. Expansionist, when they achieve space travel. Secretary Nasser chuckled humorlessly. They're afraid we'll do to them what they've been doing to species like the Iridians. Essentially, Dr. Cho confirmed. What are our options? Secretary General Wei asked Admiral Hayes. The Admiral's face remained impassive, but her eyes hardened. The Voidborn have superior technology in many respects, but Captain Rice's encounter revealed weaknesses. Their shield harmonics are vulnerable to our weapons. Their reaction times are slower. They're unused to the kind of physical resistance humans can endure. You're suggesting we can fight them? General Rodriguez sounded skeptical. I'm suggesting we must be prepared to, Hayes corrected. Intelligence indicates the Voidborn are already mobilizing. And there's one more card we haven't played yet. She turned to face the Secretary General directly. I recommend activating Project Nemesis, effective immediately. A ripple of murmurs spread through the chamber. Project Nemesis had been decades in development, hidden from public knowledge, and funded through black budgets, the ultimate contingency plan. Secretary General Wei closed his eyes briefly, weighing the decision. Very well. But I want diplomatic channels kept open, if there's a peaceful resolution to be found. The chamber's emergency alert system blared to life, cutting him off mid-sentence. The holographic display shifted to show a real-time feed from the Mars colony. Multiple unidentified vessels approaching Mars orbit, reported the colony's governor, her face tight with controlled fear. They matched the configurations of Voidborn ships, but larger, much larger. All eyes turned to Admiral Hayes. How soon can Nemesis be operational? Secretary General Wei asked quietly. The primary fleet can be crewed and launched within 12 hours, Hayes replied. The orbital defenses can be activated immediately. Do it, Wei ordered. And may whatever gods exist help us all. The Iridian diplomatic vessel Crystalline Harmony drifted in Earth orbit, its translucent hull shimmering against the backdrop of humanity's homeworld. Inside, Captain Alina Rice sat across from Ambassador Thelian, studying the aliens' delicate features as they communicated. We are deeply grateful for your intervention, Captain, Thelian conveyed through the translator device. Without a mouth, the Iridians communicated through subtle electromagnetic pulses that the device converted to speech. Few would risk themselves for strangers as you did. It was the right thing to do, Alina replied simply. But I need to understand more about this conflict we've been pulled into. The Voidborn called us primitive Deathworlders. What exactly does that mean in galactic terms? Thelian's compound eyes shifted, refracting light in patterns that Alina had learned indicated contemplation. The galaxy classifies worlds by their habitability, the ambassador explained. Garden worlds like our home are considered ideal, stable climate, low gravity, minimal predation, predictable patterns. The Voidborn come from what would be termed a middle world, more challenging than ours, but still relatively stable. And Earth. Earth is classified as a Class 12 death world, one of the most extreme environments to produce sapient life in the known galaxy. Your species evolved under constant threat of predation, extreme weather fluctuations, geological instability, high gravity, and radiation levels that would kill most Concord species within days. Alina frowned. That's just normal to us. Precisely. And that is what terrifies them. Thelian's skin rippled with patterns that the translator interpreted as emphasis. Humans can survive conditions that would quickly kill most sapient beings. You endure pain that would incapacitate others. Your bodies repair damage at rates considered nearly regenerative by Concord standards. Your musculature and skeletal structure, evolved under Earth's punishing gravity, give you strength that seems monstrous to species like mine. But we're not monsters, Alina protested. No, Thilian agreed. You are simply forged differently. But consider, a species that can survive in environments that would kill others, that possesses natural strength and resilience beyond the norm, and that has evolved combat instincts from millennia of both predator and prey experiences. Such a species presents an inherent threat to the established order, merely by existing. Alina processed this. The Voidborn attack on your people was that normal behavior by Concord standards. The Concord officially discourages aggression, Thilian replied diplomatically. However, enforcement is selective. Species like the Voidborn, who contribute significantly to Concord technology and economics, are granted considerable latitude. And humanity. The Concord has maintained a policy of non-interference with Earth, hoping your species would either destroy itself or develop more civilized tendencies before achieving significant space travel capabilities. Well, Alina said with a wry smile, I guess we've disappointed them on both counts. The ship's communication system chimed, and Alina checked the notification on her device. Her expression darkened immediately. What is it, Captain? Thilian inquired. The Voidborn have attacked our Mars colony, she said grimly, standing up. I need to return to Earth immediately. Thilian's body pulsed with patterns that needed no translation to convey alarm. This is a significant escalation. The Voidborn rarely engage in direct planetary assault. They're sending a message, Alina replied, already moving toward the exit. Testing our defenses. Captain, Thilian called after her, there is something else you should know. The Voidborn have a saying about species from worlds like yours. Awaken the Deathworlders, and the galaxy trembles. They fear what you might become if truly provoked. Alina paused at the doorway. They're about to find out if they should be afraid. Deep beneath the Pacific Ocean, in a facility that appeared on no official maps, Admiral Hayes stood in the command center of humanity's greatest secret. Around her, technicians and officers worked with practiced efficiency, preparing systems that had been maintained in standby mode for decades. The vast chamber, carved from the ocean floor and protected by hundreds of meters of water and reinforced materials, hummed with energy as screens displayed the status of Project Nemesis across the globe. Similar facilities hidden beneath the Antarctic ice, within hollowed-out mountains, and in disguised orbital platforms were coming online simultaneously. Status report, Hayes demanded. Commander Kenzo Chen, her second-in-command and overseer of the Pacific facility, stepped forward. All systems operational, Admiral. The primary fleet is at 93% readiness. Orbital defense grid is fully activated. Ground forces are mobilizing. Hayes nodded, studying the central display showing the Mars situation. The Voidborn attack had been precise and calculated, targeting communication arrays and defense systems while avoiding civilian areas. A demonstration, not an extermination. They're testing us, she murmured. Yes, Mom, Chen agreed. And our response will define how this conflict progresses. Hayes turned to face the massive viewing window that looked out into the facility's main chamber. Beyond the reinforced glass, row upon row of sleek, angular vessels hung suspended in massive docking cradles, ships unlike the exploratory and colonization vessels that made up Earth's public space fleet. These were warships, designed based on decades of theoretical xenotechnology research and built in secret. Unlike the smooth curves favored by both the Iridians and Voidborn, Earth's war fleet embraced brutal efficiency. Ablative armor, redundant systems, and weapons designed for maximum impact with minimal energy expenditure. Begin deployment sequence, Hayes ordered. Prioritize Mars defense, but establish perimeter guards at all human settlements. I want Nemesis battle groups positioned to respond to any further incursions within minutes, not hours. What about the Iridians? Chen asked. Their delegation is still in orbit. Hayes considered this. Extend them our protection. If they're providing us with intelligence on the Voidborn and the Concord, we owe them that much. A communications officer turned from her station. Admiral, we're receiving a transmission from the Voidborn fleet at Mars. They're requesting to speak with Earth's leadership. Hayes straightened her uniform. Put them through to my ready room. It's time they understood exactly who they've chosen to provoke. As she moved to take the call, Admiral Hayes glanced once more at the assembled fleet. Humanity's hidden sword and shield, forged in secret but soon to be revealed to the galaxy. The Voidborn had classified humans as Deathworlders, a term meant to inspire fear and disgust. Perhaps it was time to show them exactly what that classification truly meant. In orbits around Earth, Mars, and Venus, automated defense platforms silently activated, their weapon systems coming online as dormant AI systems awakened to their programmed purpose. From hidden hangars across the solar system, squadrons of drone fighters deployed, forming protective screens around vulnerable human settlements. Project Nemesis, named for the Greek goddess of retribution against hubris, was fully operational for the first time since its inception. The Deathworlders of Earth had been provoked, and the galaxy was about to discover why that had always been considered a terrible mistake. Awakening the arsenal. The Voidborn Supreme Commander Vexthalic watched the human transmission with growing unease. His chitinous exoskeleton creaked slightly as he shifted position in his command chair, mandibles clicking in agitation. The human, this Admiral Hayes, showed none of the fear or deference he had expected when demanding their immediate withdrawal from Mars orbit. You have 24 Earth hours to remove your forces from all human-claimed territory, the Admiral said, her voice steady and emotionless. After that time, we will consider your presence an act of war and respond accordingly. Vexthalic chittered in amusement. Your species has barely achieved rudimentary space travel, Admiral. The vessel that interfered with our rightful purge of the Iridian researchers was fortunate. Do not mistake luck for capability. The human's expression didn't change. This is not a negotiation, Commander. 24 hours. The transmission cut off abruptly, leaving Vexthalic staring at his own reflection in the darkened screen. Around him, his bridge officers exchanged uncertain glances, their compound eyes shifting uneasily. Arrogance, Vexthalic finally declared. Their homeworld has made them believe they are invincible. Supreme Commander, his intelligence officer ventured. Our scans detect unusual activity in Earth orbit and beyond. Energy signatures unlike anything in our database. Their primitive defenses activating, no doubt. Vexthalic dismissed. Prepare a strike force. We will teach these Deathworlders the consequences of challenging the Voidborn hegemony. In the observation bay of the UES Retribution, Captain Alina Reyes watched as Earth's hidden defense grid came fully online. Satellites that had long been disguised as weather or communications platforms, now reconfigured, weapon ports opening as they reoriented themselves. From concealed hangars on the moon, squadrons of fighter craft emerged, forming protective screens around the planet. Impressive, commented Commander Jackson, who had accompanied her from Helios. How long has this been in place? Decades, Alina replied. Project Nemesis began after the Roswell incident in 1947. Most assumed it was just conspiracy theory nonsense, but the government took the possibility of hostile alien contact seriously. They turned as Admiral Hayes entered the observation bay, her uniform now bearing the insignia of Project Nemesis, a sword wrapped in chains. Captain Reyes, Hayes acknowledged. I understand you've been briefed on your new assignment. Alina straightened. Yes, Admiral. The Retribution is prepared for departure. Hayes nodded, looking out at the growing fleet. Unlike the exploratory vessels humanity had publicly produced, the Nemesis ships were built for war. Angular, heavily armored, with multiple redundant systems and weaponry designed to deliver maximum devastation. The Voidborn have ignored our ultimatum, Hayes informed them. Sensors indicate they're preparing attack formations around Mars. You'll lead Battle Group 3 to reinforce our defenses there." "What about the Iridians?" Elena asked. "Ambassador Thelion has provided invaluable intelligence on Voidborn tactical doctrines," Hayes replied. "We've incorporated it into our battle plans. The crystalline harmony remains under our protection in high Earth orbit." Jackson frowned. "Admiral, with respect, we're talking about open warfare against a species with superior technology, even with Project Nemesis. Superior in some aspects," Hayes corrected. "But the Horizon engagement revealed critical weaknesses. Their shield harmonics are vulnerable to our phase-shifted weapons. Their crews cannot withstand the G-forces our pilots can endure during evasive maneuvers. And perhaps most importantly, they underestimate us." Elena understood. "Because we're just Deathworlders." "Precisely," Hayes confirmed. "They expect primitive technology and tactics. We're going to show them what it truly means to provoke a species forged on a world that never stopped trying to kill us." Elena took a deep breath. "When do we deploy?" "Immediately. The Voidborn have begun bombing runs on New Armstrong City." Mars glowed red through the view screen of the Retribution as Battle Group 3 dropped out of FTL at the edge of the system. Elena, now in command of not just a warship but an entire battle formation, assessed the situation quickly. 8 Voidborn cruisers maintained a bombardment pattern over the main human settlement, their energy weapons carving glowing trenches into the Martian surface. The colony's shield dome was holding, but sensors indicated it would fail within hours. "Tactical assessment," Elena ordered. Lieutenant Diaz, who had transferred with her from the Horizon, responded immediately. "Voidborn vessels maintain superiority position. Their weapons are primarily energy-based with some torpedo analogs. Shields configured to standard resonance patterns. No indication they've detected our arrival." Elena nodded. The element of surprise would be their greatest advantage. The Nemesis vessels employed advanced stealth technology that, theoretically, would mask their approach until they were within optimal firing range. "Communications, send the colony our authentication codes. Let them know help has arrived, but instruct them to maintain calm silence otherwise." She turned to Jackson, now serving as her XO. "Deploy fighter screen. Pattern Delta. Main vessels to maintain stealth approach." As orders were relayed, Elena studied the enemy formation. The Voidborn ships maintained tight groupings, optimized for concentrated firepower, but potentially vulnerable to flanking attacks. Their confidence was evident in their positioning. They clearly weren't expecting significant resistance. "Weapon status?" she asked. "Rail cannons charged and ready," replied Weapons Officer Layla Rahman. "Missile tubes loaded. Phase shift adjustments implemented based on Iridian intelligence." Elena toggled the fleet-wide command channel. "All vessels, this is Captain Reyes. Remember your training. The Voidborn evolved on a world with 1/3 Earth's gravity. Their reflexes are slower than ours. Their bodies cannot withstand the same stresses. Use that to your advantage. Maintain formation discipline. Target the propulsion systems first. And remember, we're fighting for our people's right to exist. Retribution actual. Out." She took a deep breath. "Begin approach, 1/4 speed. Fighters to attack pattern Epsilon on my mark." The Nemesis battle group moved silently through space, closing the distance to Mars with methodical precision. On the tactical display, Elena watched as their fighter squadrons spread into position, awaiting the command to engage. "Optimal firing range in 30 seconds, Diaz reported. "Targets designated," Rahman confirmed. "All weapons locked." Elena felt a moment of strange clarity. Humanity's first interstellar war was about to begin, provoked not by human aggression, but by a species that couldn't comprehend how a death world could produce anything but savagery. Mark. Across the blackness of space, 24 human fighters suddenly accelerated to attack velocity, emerging from stealth as they launched the first salvo of the war. Micro-missiles streaked toward the Voidborn vessels, followed by concentrated rail cannon fire. The Voidborn response was delayed by crucial seconds, exactly as the Iridians had predicted. Their sensor systems, calibrated for the technologies they knew, had failed to detect the approaching human forces until they opened fire. Direct hits on 3 vessels, Diaz reported, excitement creeping into her voice. Their shields are fluctuating. On the view screen, Alina watched as the first Voidborn cruiser's shields collapsed under the onslaught, rail cannon rounds punching through its hull in a spray of atmosphere and debris. The remaining enemy vessels were already moving to defensive positions, but their formation was broken. Main fleet, engage, Alina ordered. All weapons free. The Retribution and its sister ships accelerated, shedding their stealth profiles as they unleashed their full arsenals. Phase-shifted energy beams cut through the Voidborn shields as though they barely existed, while railgun salvos delivered kinetic impacts that no energy shield could fully mitigate. "They're returning fire," Jackson called out. The Retribution shuddered as enemy weapons struck its shields, but the impact was less severe than Alina had feared. Nemesis vessels had been designed with redundant shield generators and armor layers specifically to absorb energy weapon attacks. Shields holding at 82%, Raman reported. Minor damage to outer hull plating, sections 12 through 14. Alina watched the tactical display with grim satisfaction. 3 Voidborn vessels were already critically damaged, their weapon systems offline. The others were attempting to regroup, but the coordination of the human attack had clearly shocked them. "They're broadcasting," Communications Officer Wong announced. "Fleet-wide signal." "Let's hear it," Alina ordered. The voice of Vexthalic filled the bridge, rage evident even through the translator. "Deathworlders, this violation will not stand. The Concord